All right, guys, Shotty T here with another Defender Spotlight series. This time we're going to do Invisible Woman. Last couple of days been kind of busy, and trying to get used to this war tactics. I did record some war fight videos that I'll show later today. But Invisible Woman here, so the main issue is her invisibility. So you have to understand when it triggers. Of course, if she's awakened, she has it at the very beginning of the fight. And depending on her sig level, depends on how often it triggers when she gets knocked down, like either from a heavy attack or from a special. And then of course, but the main thing when she's not awakened, where it doesn't matter, is she starts off with this force field, and then once it gets down to zero, she becomes invisible permanently. And the only way that you can get rid of it is either by missing her or by hitting into her block. And now, of course, if you miss her, it's a good chance you're going to get punished. So one of the videos will show that. But really, anyone can counter her. And I'll show you in the very last video. But the best counters are Human Torch and Nick Fury, because they have the ability to where, depending on what type of charges they have, or in case of Human Torch, the temperature, they can actually increase what they can't. All their attacks can't miss. So really anyone can counter her. Like I said, I'm just highlighting a whole bunch of random people. Now, of course, damage over time, people can help, because when she does become invisible, if she's bleeding or under some type of debuff that's dealing damage, it'll automatically trigger the invisible meter cooldown, so you don't have to worry about trying to hit into her block and all that. So ideally, preferably when you face Invisible Woman, you want to try to have some type of damage over time champ. But again, I'm going to show you a totally fight that's going to defy all the scenarios in case you're stuck with having to fight her. But hopefully you don't put yourself in a position where you're fighting the last type of fight that I'm going to show you. But the first fight here, we're going to showcase Nick Fury. This is a 3-star. All right, so of course, a couple of things you're going to see throughout this tutorial is going to be debating her SP1 and her SP2, understanding the mechanics of it. And some videos will show that more than others. This particular fight, though, is more so just showing Nick Fury's ability to not make her miss, and that's when he has 5 tactical charges or higher. But as you can see, it's on a cooldown. Now, when he's the real Nick Fury, those tactical charges stay permanent. So it's pretty easy once you're in your second life with Nick Fury to own Invisible Woman, because all you have to do is just do one SP1 and you have 8 charges just like that. So really, and then of course, if you want to do it again to just be completely unblockable the rest of the fight, she's just a punching bag at that point. So really, he's by far the best matchup. Of course, he has a class advantage as well. So I mean, it's a 3-star, pretty much melting her down pretty well. So I'm just doing the SP1 cycle just to keep the tactical charges over 5. Now, when she's in her cooldown, I guess technically you try to rush yourself up to SP2, which technically deals more damage than SP1. But here's the example of how to evade her SP2. You have to, it's 2 parts to it. First, you got the invisible attack. So when she swipes at you, that's when you dash backwards. And then she has the bull rush when she comes at you, and it's quick. So if you're not quick enough, you can either get hit by it, or if you parry it. Now, if you parry it like I just did, there's a chance that she becomes invisible at that point. So that's that fight. The next one here is going to be another great counter, which is Human Torch. And this fight ends up being pretty smooth as well once I spell woman right. All right, so Human Torch, this will be a 4-star, rank 1. So again, these tutorials, I try to use opponents that don't have big attack pools, so that way you can see the full fight. Of course, most of you guys, when you're fighting in these paths, you're probably using a rank 3 5-star or better. But I have to be able to cater to everyone to show that even if you don't have the highest champs, or if you're just facing a big health pool in like Act 6 where you do have a 5-star or 6-star, it can still be done. So as you can see, that I did a little trick that I didn't showcase it, but I didn't highlight it this particular portion of the clip, but I do highlight it in another fight. But when she is invisible and she has the SP1, you can actually go underneath her when she's in the air and miss on purpose, and it has such a slow recovery time. You can actually punish, you can actually not get punished by it, and then you can start her invisible timer cooldown. As you can see, Human Torch, when he has a temperature that is 10 or higher, his attacks cannot miss. So as you can see, as you saw earlier in this clip, when her invisibility triggered, all her attacks missed. So you'll see it right here. See, so and all that. So it's pretty easy cycle. You try to either do medium combos, or if your temperature is running low, you can do parry heavy attack. So it's pretty straightforward. Now, if you're really just advanced pro, you can use her SP2 to counter heavy in case she's stun immune or limber node. So if you want to use that opportunity, another underrated opportunity to build up your smolder and keep your temperature high is to parry her SP1, like the first attack portion of it, and also by parrying the first attack of her SP2, that'll actually build up the smolder charges. As you can see, I have 3 now because I've done that 3 times this fight. So he's another candidate that's melting her away. And now you see I have the Nova Flame. So now it's just getting melted pretty good by rank 1 4-star. As you can see, I parried the first attack of the invisible SP2, and it gave me a smolder charge. So I used the SP2 to mostly build up my temperature, but also to inflict more either incinerates or Nova Flames on her. And like I said, just keeping my temperature above 10, so that way none of my attacks are missing. It's just a basic fight, because both of her specials, they're not difficult to deal with. So that's that fight. So now we're gonna show the ultimate handicap. This is gonna be a champ that does not deal any debuffs at all, and also has the class disadvantage. So probably went a little overboard doing that, but just the purpose of just showing the length of the fight. Now, of course, you have to have concentration and execute throughout. And like I said, I do fail to execute at the very end, but it shows you what not to do. But so I'm trying to think who I'm gonna use. I want to use a Mystic champ. I started to go with Juggernaut, but I said, yeah, let me try. Well, he does damage over time, so does Symbiote Supreme. Magic does as well with Limbo. So let me go with Doctor Strange. Now, I haven't been on the game long enough to know what the pre-patch 12.0 Doctor Strange version is, but I can imagine how useful he was, because even in this fight, this gives you an example. Like, you can get punished and still heal yourself back. And actually, when I did my first run at Realm of Legends, even though it took a while, I used a combination of Wolverine and Doctor Strange to get me through a lot of the fights, because they could just heal themselves during the fight, even though it's a long fight. Now, of course, when I got to that Wolverine, that was I didn't really have a counter for that at the time until I got Guillotine at like a high enough rank to use her. But ultimately, it was Void that ended up doing the trick. So I thought I was gonna trigger her invisibility there, but apparently when I had her parried, it did trigger. I do have like a I think Pacify Mastery on, so that was the one chance that she didn't trigger her invisibility. Really, so right now this fight is just being pretty straightforward. I mean, just a methodical, just parry, attack, and if you have willpower, you hit into her when she has her force field, you get that exhaustion debuff, so you use that debuff to technically heal yourself. So really, I mean, it's actually a plus in that case. And then now he has this life steal feature. Now I'm trying to get her to her invisibility mode. So when she's invisible, when she doesn't have a bar of power, the key is you want to hit into her block. So you have to find an opening, and you have to wait to when she's actually dashing backwards and holding block. Because if you try to gamble, she's gonna intercept you and wreck you. So you need to make sure that she's dashing back and holding block, kind of like when you're trying to trigger Nightcrawler and his special. But here we go. Here's how we're gonna trigger the invisibility. And as you can see, I dodged the SB2 and then immediately attacked while she was in recoil. And it has such a long recovery. I was able to miss on purpose to start the invisible timer and then resume the fight as normal. So I tried to knock her down again to trigger the invisibility for SP1, but I ended up triggering SP2 by mistake. So we're gonna show it again. Here we go. So we're gonna dodge the first hit, and we're gonna dodge the second hit, and immediately miss on purpose to start the invisible timer. So that's the gist of it there. But as you can see, I've taken a lot of block damage, but I'm pretty much back to full health. So with the debuffs that you get that are not damaging, you can just heal yourself back with willpower against her. So now I'm trying to knock her down for SP1. As you can see, I dodged the projectile, and then she kicks, and then I hit right before she lands. So she's still in recovery from that special. So again, so none of her special you can get immediately punished. Now I kind of got too aggressive there, but as you can see, I'll end up healing it back with the willpower. So now we're trying to knock her down again. All right, so we dodge that, and we hit, and she actually lands. And you have to kind of be a little bit more precise because it's not as slow of a recovery as her SP2. So you do have to be precise to go in right as she's kicking the air and going backwards. So as you can see, I'm healing in the whole back with Doctor Strange. So now we're near the end of the fight, but here's where I mess up. Of course, I'm trying to push her to the bar power with invisibility, but I kind of mistimed it. So now I have to try to wait. She's holding block and she's not cooperating. She keeps going back and going forward. Again, you have to wait till she goes back and holds block. So that shows you what not to do. But anyway, hope you guys like and subscribe, share, and you enjoy your day.